Thank you for that class lesson, everybody. Well done. Here's the rest of the feedback. So I was just talking about gents. So all three had a good sense of character, but you just need to age it a bit so that you're as old as Toby was. Toby, I think for you, maybe consider not being on the bench the whole time. I'd like to see some blocking from the three of you where you get up off the bench and then you go back and sit down for Evelyn to watch Evelyn and make sure all of your faces are going in the same direction. That might free it up a little bit. And it seems to me, Toby, that it's your character who would be more likely to be getting up. And maybe that would give a little bit more emphasis when you're shouting at Madder's character to, about his hearing aid. Thank you very much, boys. Really polished already. Good work. Fish gang. So, I thought that it worked well. But what I'd like to do is develop both of your characters. So Ben seems to be the new boy and the one who's bubbly and excited and enthusiastic. I actually think if we could create a contrast with the other fish being very depressed, which actually is your natural sort of voice, but really make more of it in the facial and the physical gestures. Both of you need to create the fishbowl, so we have a sense of swimming fish, going forwards and then returning, coming back, going forwards and then returning, coming back. And these are fish, so you can't be human beings with human hands. You're going to need to have fins, and you're going to need to swim in the fishbowl, going round and round or forwards and backwards. So the biggest note really, because the lines were good, is to create that relationship between the two of you physically and to sort of see it emotionally on your face. So really wildly enthusiastic and excited and optimistic, and the other one deeply depressed and miserable and grumpy, and that should create the humour that I think the piece needs. So good start, boys. More to work on. Maybe do some mirror work so you can look at your faces in the mirror and get it blocked properly next week so we've got a sense of the fishbowl. Moving back, we've got Blue Remembered Hills, I think. And I thought it started off so well. I could really see Alex as Peter, could see how huffy he was and how upset and worked up and angry he was. I think, Liam, even though you've got Donald Duck's lines mostly, you haven't quite got that he's a victim yet. And I think he's surprised and nervous to have Peter talk to him, because usually Peter would just hurt him or bully him or ignore him. But here Peter's talking to him almost like he's a friend and sharing how he's feeling. So you need to show some nervous, shy reaction to that, but you find it unusual. And then of course Peter shows his true colours and he starts bullying you and he makes you do the calling thing. That needs to be stood up. You can't be sat down on your stool at that point. He'd make you do that in the centre of the room, and it would feel and needs to look humiliating. You're being victimised and bullied here, so you need to play that emotionally rather than just say the lines. And then towards the end of from the middle section really, I think the line order got in the way. You came out of role. You can't do that in 2 weeks' time. So boys, I'd really encourage you to run and drill the lines together, because it's not until they're there that you can be free to actually characterise this piece. I see really good starting point here, but it needs a lot more drilling and polish to get ready. One thing on accent, they're both from the West Country. So I know, Liam, that it's a tricky thing to do, but if Alex can have made an attempt on the accent with his natural accent that isn't even British, surely you can. The two of you should be having a go, please, at the West Country accent, which is why you've got it recorded on your phones. If you've lost that recording or you need to do it for me to do it for you again, just come over to the centre and I will. Thank you, boys. Blood Brothers. This is the Mickey Eddie version. Oh, lovely shaping, boys. So natural. The two of you have really worked hard on your lines and on the characterization. So these notes are to try and help refine it even further. So for the Mickey character, I think what we're needing is a bit stronger with the accent. There's a massive attempt at the accent, the Liverpool accent, which is good, but it's not quite refined yet. So a little bit more time listening every day to the Liverpool accent with your lines should help that. But the liveliness and the spirit of the character was there. Obviously, when you've got a bench, you'll be able to be more physical, because I felt that Mickey needs to be more boisterous and needs to spread out across the stage more. So maybe in the second half, maybe Mickey could use more of the space in the blocking. Hans playing Eddie, it's vocal projection that's the issue. You might be able to pick it up on the film, but you're not loud enough. I'd like for you to work on the accent, so it's standard received pronunciation, which is sort of the way I'm talking, or it could be even more pronounced if you went for the BBC or Queen's English, but it can't be your own accent. He needs to sound like he comes from Surrey, I think. Lovely sense of the character's shyness. I think you need stage props, so I think you need the sweets in the bag, because Mickey then could grab them and put one in his mouth. That would be really helpful. You need mannerisms that are more formal, because you're a shy boy and you've been really mothered by Mrs. Lyons, and you've gone to a prep school, unlike Mickey, who's been wild and let loose because he's got 6 older brothers and sisters. You've never had that. So everything needs to be neat, precise, formal, tucked in, whereas Mickey needs to be everything wild, loose, uncontrolled. You need to be very, very controlled. And I think, therefore, Hans, you've got to work on your body language a little bit more. When we get to the I'm peed off, that needs to be explosively loud, and both boys need to find it funny, especially when you then get to the F word. You need to be rolling around in fits of laughter, and only after the giggling do we get the question, what's the F word? So yeah, a little bit of comic timing needs to be worked on. But boys, you've done loads of hard work there. Well done. Moving to the other duet from the dialogue from the Blood Brothers, the 2 girls, so Jess and Ella. Mrs. Lyons, beautiful accent. Mrs. Johnston, beautiful accent. And the Blood Brother boys could do a lot by listening to your accents, girls, because you had them perfectly down. I would say both of you need a bit more vocal attack and vocal projection. It felt nervous on the stage, so use today as encouragement and come back even more confident vocally to be a bit louder and more forceful and clear in your delivery. What have I got as a note? Yeah, I think that her character, Mrs. Lyons, needs to be a lot more forceful, maybe even threatening or menacing when she's got the lines about you made an agreement, you swore on the Bible. This woman is a little bit unhinged psychologically, and she's utterly desperate to have this child. So it's this child or bust. So she's going to really threaten and force Mrs. Lyons. And Ella, if you could spend a little bit more time being a bit more intimidated by that moment, because you give in and you're going to give your child away, and that's a huge thing. So maybe give yourself time on stage to think about it and then react rather than just say the next line. So we've got a sense of reaction between the two. That would really polish it. I think you guys need baby props to make this make sense. Because you've got 2 bits of scenes and there's a time transition, I think we need a cot with a baby inside it, or something wrapped around a baby cloth that you could pick up that could realistically feel like a baby that you were holding. So my suggestion is that you have the cot in one place for the whole of the play, but that the first scene starts with the baby in your arms, it's put in the cot, and then it stays there for the second scene. Girls, as a note in the transition, just turn your backs to the audience, count 5 seconds, and then turn back in, and then we'll know that time has moved on and it's not continuing the first scene. Yep, I think that's it. Jess, towards the end, he's fine. I think you were a little late on that, so maybe just review those lines in towards the second part of your first half. I thought it was really slick and polished. Well done, you've worked really hard on that, and loads already good. So it's just refining what you've got. And finally, bouncers. Now, I think probably out of everybody, you've got the toughest challenge, boys. Well, A, you went first, but B, you've all got to do a role that's a different gender, the opposite gender to yourself. I thought that you had some female mannerisms, all 4 of you, but that all 4 of you did not sustain those for your character across the piece. And that's the biggest thing physically to work on. And it's quite hard not to just be a stereotype and sort of do a flappy hand. But it is things like your stance. So maybe a hip comes out and there's a hand on the hip. Or maybe you put your hands together. And the way that you walk needs to be more with the hips and less physically male. If you could imagine maybe Rosie and Susie have long hair, so the hair flick mannerism might help. All of you need to work on your mime because you're going to be having drinks, baby sham, etc. So it would be good to start miming with that. Pitch is something else. I don't want you to become Minnie Mouse, but I do want for you to think about the pitch because I felt that some of you were a bit too your own pitch, and I do think it needs to be a bit softer and a little bit higher. So slightly higher pitch and softer timbre would help. Yes, Kartik, you've got cow, and that's meant to be a throwaway that she doesn't hear. You need to throw it away to the audience, not upstage right to the backcloth. Yeah, Toby, you've got a monologue about as Sexy Susie, stockings under my dress. All of that is meant to be directly addressed to the audience, and you were saying it to the other people on the stage, but the style of this is you're introducing your character, so directly address the audience. And can you physically mime pulling up your dress and showing the stockings? And then that stuff about, oh, big boy, he's got a big head, that's to one member in the front row of the audience. It's not to the other girls on the stage. But the other 3 girls could also look at that one person in the audience that Toby, Sexy Susie is pointing to, could all point at that member and get all excited about it and sort of go, ooh, or something like that. That could be a good moment. All of you need to have an accent. You need to come from somewhere in the same town that isn't Surrey, because these girls are working class girls. So please, can you commit to that? Because that's a big part of your vocal skill acting that I'm looking to see in 2 weeks' time. Kit, you mimed the record and you came right in front, or the jukebox, and you came right in front blocking the actors. Can I suggest, boys, that you redo that so that, Kit, you go downstage left or downstage right, and the rest of the actors are in the middle of the stage, and you need to have a coin that you put into a jukebox, and then you need to mime pressing play. And it would be really good if one of you could have whatever that music is come on your phone. I know we don't have sound designers and we're not doing it under lights this term, that's next term's design challenge. But it'd be really good, I think, if we could have that music, because the idea is that you're meant to be dancing, and that could give you extra marks if you were dancing to the music. When Will I Be Famous is a track by Bros from the 1980s. If you can download that, that would be fabulous. If you can't and you want to use a different track, then just change the line so that whatever the When Will I Be Famous track alternative is, that's what you say. And make sure that the new track that you choose, if you're going to do that, links to the idea of the girls having a laugh together. Yeah, I thought it was well shaped. It's a good scene. I think there's lots of potential there, but there is a step up to be made, and part of it is accent and part of it is physicalizing the girls. Thanks very much, everybody. I was really impressed today by everybody's attempt, but there is a leap for everyone now. You've got the rest of your play to look at, and next week you don't have my teaching input. So in between this week and 2 weeks' time, if you do want to go through anything with me or get further advice or help, you just need to email me, and then we'll arrange for you to pop in at lunch or a break time or an after school or somewhere in the afternoon if you've got a free moment in an activity. I'm basically directing the school play between 4 and 6 every afternoon on the Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. So just email me in advance and we can make a time. Good luck next week polishing your work. Good luck with making the prep. Enjoy watching this. I hope you will. I'm going to sign off now and see you in 2 weeks' time, everyone. Thank you.